and welcome to another teacher talk session tonight. Tonight we are going to have our 108th session with different educators, and she is Defne Akıncı Midas. She is an instructor from Middle East Technical University. When she comes, we are going to start our live session with her. I'm sure that it's going to be a very fruitful session with Defne Hoca. I'm looking forward to asking different questions to her, and I'm sure that you will like it. Let me invite her, then we can start. Let me invite. Just a moment. We are going to start. Yes, I think, yes. Hello, Defne Hocam?
Hello.
Yes, we can see your books,
Yes,
but not you.
but you can't see me. Why not?
Maybe you need to, maybe because of the camera.
Yes.
Huh.
All right.
Yes, now we can see you.
That was a joke, wasn't
Wonderful.
it?
It's great.
Anyway. Hello, back again.
Oh, okay. Hello. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you
But
too.
let me just a moment. I need to check something. Okay. Thank you very much, Aydan Hocam, about your compliment for my t-shirt. Anyway, okay, and let's one more time. I just want to say thank you very much for accepting my invitation, Defne Hocam,
It's my
for
pleasure.
teacher talks. It's really great to see you here. Thank you. And if you are ready, and we can start.
Yes, sure. I'm ready.
Okay, wonderful. I know about you, but maybe our listeners or watchers or guests would like to know about you. So can you tell us about yourself, please, and a bit about your experiences too?
All right. Let's start with, I'm a language teacher, English language teacher. I graduated from Middle East Technical University, foreign language education. It was kind of years ago. Let's not talk about how many years. All right. So, I worked in several courses. As I was a student as well, I gave some private lessons. I wanted to learn how it worked. I didn't find it very easy at the beginning, I must say. It was very enjoyable and stuff like that, but I didn't find teaching very easy. It didn't come naturally to me.
Oh, I see.
I was trying to do everything, the methodology and, the students and motivation and this and that and writing on the board and turning around and pairing and grouping, and classroom management I found pretty difficult. And I wasn't very successful at the beginning. And in time, I heard about the news that they were going to, hire teachers to Middle East Technical University again, Department of Basic English. I applied and I was hired. And in the process of they do the interviews, I was so very nervous. And they said, could you tell us about a strong point? I said, well, maybe listening and speaking. My speaking was good at the time too. And they said, tell us about one weak point. I said, I don't know how to teach writing. My writing is good, but I don't know how to teach it. What am I going to do? And the head of the department, Banu Hoca, just laughed her head off. Everybody was laughing. I said, oh my God, I lost everything. Why did I say I had something weak? Oh my goodness. And they said, you do it here. Don't worry. We'll teach you. And I said, is that a promise? And they said, oh, you got us. All right. So you have a good standing. And so I was so relieved. And over the years, they teaching, and they had training too, in-service training. And at the time I was still do. You learn, you you reflect on things and you get feedback. I had observers I observed others, and we got feedback from students. You learn, and my strongest suit became teaching writing.
Wow.
Over the
Wow.
years, I worked on it. We discussed with friends that, I don't know. I say as my strongest suit is because I enjoy it. I try to get the students to enjoy it, but I don't know. There's always a better way of doing it. I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I'm better than others. I can't say that. To me, I enjoy it. Writing is the most enjoyable thing
for you.
to teach,
I see.
to do. So over the years, I was in and out of courses. I did my master's. Luckily, in England, there was a Chevening scholarship. It gave me a lot of things. I was in Manchester University. It's a great place if you have a chance to visit or get a scholarship and do something there. Well, I did some training. I've been in materials writing. I've been in the coordinating a course, course design, some administration. Now I'm doing research and development. And over the years, whenever I said, "Oh, I'm afraid of doing that," that came to me as a duty. So I was always afraid of thinking about working on the curriculum. I was the committee. I was always saying, "Oh, assessment, just stay away from me. I'm now in assessment in the middle of it." So I think, you call it, you say, "I'm weak at it. I don't want to learn. Oh, I'm scared of it." And I'm in it the following day. That taught me so many things over the years.
I see. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Defne Hocam, for sharing with us. Can I move to next question, or you would like to add anything else? Okay.
Otherwise, everybody will think, "Oh, how many years can she be? She's been doing so many things." So I don't want to go into that. I'm very, very, very.
You don't want them to learn about it. Okay. Anyway, what was or were your turning point or points in your own education?
I had a few turning point in my education. I had a turning point in my experience, but I can turn to education. All right. A turning point in my education, I'm going to talk about two. One, it was in the undergraduate. A turning point was when we were in the fourth year. We started to go to schools and see how teaching is done, and then our own instructors, evaluated us on that. It was practice teaching.
Yes.
I taught students at the age of 12, I suppose. I cannot forget the day when I started to teach. I saw my instructor, Hüsnü Hoca, Hüsnü Enginarlar, bless him. I wish him health and long life. He was at the back, and he was, making signs with his, mimicry. I could follow, but I was trying to teach us. I wonder what he means. What is wrong? Do I have something on my face? And then when I was going to write something on the blackboard, I turned around, and it was full of stuff. And he just bowed down, and I was like, "Oh, what do I do?" And then I erased some area, and I was thinking, that's what we was trying to signal, He was so supportive. I still can't forget. I still do the same thing. I turn around and say, "Oh, this is full." And I remember that moment. And the second thing about that was that he was so supportive. There, we thought that, observation was a terrible thing because it tears you apart. Afterwards, so many things didn't go the way you wanted it to go, but a lot of things you did. But your supervisors there to evaluate you, we were so scared of it. We didn't really fully understand the value of it. We were so scared. At that point, I understood that they were there to support us, really, he was there to support, and actually he was not there. He was not kind of an executioner. he was
So
there
great.
to support. So we need to think, all the young teachers, I would say, think of the person who's observing you as a supporter. If he or she is telling you some criticism, it's good that you know. Otherwise, that will go unnoticed for years on end, and that's like something, some kind of piece of food on your face, and you keep talking and talking, and you
I
realize.
see.
And once you realize, you say, "Oh my goodness, I was there talking, and everybody could see it, and I didn't know over the years." And that was reminded that I also have to mention Suzan Hoca here. He was our trainer, in-service trainer, and he's in England now. Suzan is. She used to say that, as trainers we might be painful, but you're gonna thank us maybe later on, because you want to know if there's something stuck here. At that time you might be embarrassed, but later on you know how to take care of it. That was one big day for me. All right. So the second one, I'll talk about the second memory later, because I forgot that now.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Defne Hocam, for sharing with us. Let's move to the next question then. Okay, I know that you have been teaching for a long time, and probably you have tried and different I don't know, methodologies and strategies or techniques in your classes, but probably you have a kind of a philosophy of teaching in your classes. So what is it? What is your philosophy of teaching? It's a difficult question.
Not so much. In the beginning, I was trying to do everything that communicative language teaching methodology taught us. I still am an avid believer of teaching the language, or using language in order to communicate. And there must be some kind of purpose in whatever we're doing. But I started to include all those other types of methodology over the years. You realize that different types of groups may need different approaches. So I'm going to classically say eclecticism. So whatever works best for the kind of student group, the kind of purpose that they have. So if you're going to have an exam class, unfortunately we have them. You're preparing them for the exam. You're not going to go, if they're work, you have to talk about the kind of tasks. You have to familiarize them with it, etc., etc. So if you have young learners, that's a totally different thing. So I've learned that there's not one methodology. I wasn't taught one methodology. It was very hard to digest, in my opinion. At the time we were taught so many things. Through experience, things start to fall in the right place. The more you talk about these, the more you have students, the more you attend conferences, you start to say, actually I know this, but I didn't know it so well. I didn't know what it meant. The meanings get together. And also, after a while, maybe the age, maybe having a child, maybe whatever it is, I started to learn to have some compassion with the students. The student's point of view. You're doing this, but I wonder what the student is thinking. What you're saying and what they understand may not always be the same, and each student understands something totally different. So whatever your methodology is, actually is one thing, but what methodology they understand, what method fits them, is something else. So
I see.
That's why maybe having as many different styles as possible to suit their needs would be the best thing to do. So
do it. I see.
That's
Thank you.
what I would call, a compassionate eclecticism. I invented a method.
That's really interesting. What wonderful. If it's useful, not a problem. Thank you very much, Hocam. Let's move to another. Would you like to add anything else, or can I move to another question?
That sums it up. We can move on.
Okay, let's move to your area. I think your area. You're gonna love my questions after this time is related to your area. Okay, let's come to the very important point. How do you define writing in language learning process?
Writing is the expression of oneself, not through speaking, but through using, words in black and white. You express, you put it on paper. So it's how the student, if we're talking about English language teaching point of view, how the student interprets the language, and where the language and their ideas meet, you can start to see their writing. So I think writing is, when I read the students' writing, I learn their names. No matter how long I've seen them in the classroom, the day I collect their writing assignments, the following day I can just, it's like I actually meet the real Volkan Hoca. If you send me a little message, I learn about the person.
I see.
It's very interesting. No matter what they're talking about, it could be totally, just my name is sentences. I start to see how they're thinking. It's their ideas, self-expression, and I think it's very important to learn to do that, express oneself. Speaking is totally different, as I said, but in writing, you also think about how to present your ideas. It's very personal, no matter how low their level may be. It's I think it's very special, and it's important to get them to like the experience.
I see.
Which is not very easy.
Thank you very much, Hocam. Thank you. And another important point related with the students, why do the students, always complain about writing lessons to their teachers? When I think about it, or probably you face lots of students that they complain about writing. Oh, we can't write it, or we don't like writing lessons, or more and more. So what can teachers do about it?
There may be many reasons. One of them could be that they not like the topics. It's the same old topic, or so they might not be able to personalize it. So they're just talking something, why should we learn English? Well, 2 reasons, whatever this teacher wants to hear. They like to think. So once they think, what does the teacher want to hear? Well, English is very useful in the future. It will be very useful in the future. So they say that, and they can't fill it in. They can't follow up, because they don't believe in it today. It doesn't mean much. It's not personalized. It's not.
I see.
That's maybe one. The topics may be very dry. The way we present it may be unappealing. And one thing I heard from them many times, which made me reflect for a long time, is that in our school, let me go there, we try to teach a semi-academic way of writing paragraphs. So there's a topic sentence, there's a major idea, you support it this way or that, and you don't do this, you avoid using I, and somehow semi-academic. Why should the benefits of having English at university, for instance. So it shouldn't be too personal, it should be generalizable, this, that. And a few of the students used to say, Hocam, you're killing our creativity. This is, you're saying, do this, do that, do the other. Why don't you just tell us what we should write? That's another thing to get really negative about. But
I see.
The topmost thing might be our way of correcting those papers.
I see.
Would we like to read our way of correcting things? Whatever color it is, in red, white, pink, green, doesn't make any difference. If it is with glittering colors, whatever, purple, if you're going to cross the words out and put your words in it, it's not going to look nice. It's not respectful. They don't like it. We do too much correction, and I think it's really hard for them to understand what we want from them. It's
Mm-hmm. I see.
demotivating. So
Demotivate them.
what should we
Mm-hmm.
do? First, it's important that they can express themselves even if the thing is boring, they should be able to have a say in it, a little bit at least.
I see.
You know, let them personalize it a little bit, and talk about the differences between creative writing, the creativity in academic writing, so that they can enjoy
Uh-huh.
self-expression. So if you want them to enjoy writing, then you have to, I think as a teacher, you need to show as a reader, show readership and say whether you enjoyed their ideas. If you want them to write their ideas, they will write it. You have to make a comment about the content.
I
We don't do
see.
that. We say, subject verb agreement. We leap with joy. Lovely. Subject, let me correct it. Subject
I
verb
see that.
agreement is the least of our concerns. These days, they can get it corrected by, there's Grammarly, there's word program, there's this, there's that. They can in fact learn from it as well. Let's go into content that really need that. And once
Mm-hmm.
they get the idea, I think they start to enjoy it, because
Enjoy
expressing
it.
oneself is something really, and getting the reaction from the
Uh-huh.
audience saying, oh, that idea is so original, and they do come up with some
Mm-hmm.
originality. And I say, oh, I never
Some
thought of that.
originality. I
They
see. Uh-huh.
leap with joy. Whenever I say, oh, I never thought of that idea, this major idea, can I use it in the future? I ask for permission.
I see.
And they say, oh, I never thought that was new. I said, yes, this is something. If it is new, I said, it's new. I want to use it for my future students. And
Mm-hmm.
they have some of the ownership,
I see.
creation. This is creative.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you created a new way of looking at things. And there, I think they can enjoy authorship.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I see.
not very easy. Sometimes you might say, but you should see our beginners' papers. There's nothing to enjoy because you can't understand anything. That's
Definitely. Sometimes happens.
yeah, but we're there to appreciate their writing. If it's so horrible, then that means it's above their level. It's what you asked them to do. We need to think about what we've asked them to do. If if it's the right challenge, they should be able to come up with a
Definitely.
perfectly acceptable thing, and you should be able to find some kind of group in it.
Definitely.
So,
I remember, Defne hocam, I remember that I had one student that, I think we had a writing lessons and I'm not gonna give a name, he brought me, I think they needed to write about their daily routine, okay, about it into the writing. But he brought me a kind of, the writing, the subject word agreement and the words writing and the spellings and most lots of them are, they're horrible. It was horrible. And he was standing next to me and he was just looking at me and he asked me, did I write correctly? Did you like it? And I couldn't say anything about it. And I just said, okay, you wrote it really well, but just let me read it. And then I'll give you a couple, suggestions about your writing, but tomorrow. I said I couldn't say anything over there, but the reason that if I would say something about his writing over there, probably he was going to cry because he was just a fifth grade because he came next to me with a very the passion like something he made something good, but actually it was vice versa. All the things the subject verb agreements and the spellings and even if the topics are really he confused everything. But and then I'll explain him the next day with briefly, and I think he got the point. I mentioned all the details to him. Look, this is wrong. This is you need to write like this, and you need to do like this. This, the subject comes to the beginning of a sentence, and the verb, and you need to follow this. And then he asked me again, why didn't you tell me this yesterday? And I said, I didn't say anything again. Okay, did you get the point? And he said, okay. And then he said thank you to me, and I said okay. And next time, please be careful about it, and I will check it again. And we write better and better every day. And that was a kind of a moment that I faced with one of my students, but I couldn't say anything at that time. Like
Well,
this.
sometimes it depends on how emotionally attached they are to their paragraphs. Sometimes a student he doesn't look interested might get really offended or very low as a teacher, but I really spend a lot of time into it, put all my effort. So we shouldn't just jump into the correction. This year particularly, I'm paying attention to focus, and I told the students, I keep telling, I'm looking at the content first of all, so that you package it nicely, and then we can do the other stuff, correcting this. And also I asked them to, since it's online learning anyway, I showed them how to use the word correction stuff, and then I'm going to show them how to use Grammarly, because even if they say they do, I don't see any effect in the papers. There's mistakes, and I should be correcting them, because that's the least of our concerns. I mean, of course we want them to do the right subject verb agreement, whatever, but they can, instead of me correcting it, they can get it done by the machine, and they can pay attention, say, oh, I made this mistake, I must pay attention, and they make corrections and send it to me, so that I can go into the content, because content may be really problematic.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to another question, Defne Hocam. And we talk about the writing, and probably you have read thousands of the writing samples in your the writing lessons. Like, and what are the criteria for saying yes, this is a very good writing example?
This is a very good writing example. There must be a balance between two things. One is the content development, how they handled the content. Did they respond to the actual question, and how they explain it? And if it's personal enough, I see some original ideas. I mean, the ideas, there's nothing original on earth, first of all. But the way you say it, through your own experiences, that's the originality. You can explain one thing in a few ways only, and then there's no originality left. The benefits of going to an EMI university. How many times the benefits of learning English? What else can you say? But it's the way you say it, your own experiences, very small touches. You don't have to really create the world all over again. That's what it touches you somehow when you look at it. It hasn't been stolen from anywhere, not cheated, not copied and pasted, because of the typical mistakes you can see. That there's a verb there that doesn't belong there, but it's the student's own verb. So you look at it and you say, the ideas are so input so neatly, and the way it's been developed, you say, this is such a good one. And of course the sentences should have some care as well. I'm not looking for perfect, long, wonderful, advanced level sentences, but the sentences should give the feeling, and some care to spelling. And if they've done that work, then that means that criteria, that's okay, that's great. That's okay. So first topic development, personal touches, personal strife, I should see that. And then some care to grammar and subject verb agreement is something I really don't care about. But the other stuff, the students try to think, find the right way of saying things, because they have an idea and they want to put it into words. That's you can see and you can feel it. Those are
see. Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful answer for my tough question. Yeah, thank you. Let's move to the another the topic, from about not about writing about something, your adult learning, adult students actually. You have worked for a long time with adult students, but I'm sure that sometimes they come to you, not motivated. When you think about your experiences, are adult students motivated for language learnings?
Their motivation towards language learning, if the adult learners we're talking about are, there are two types of adult learners I have. One of them have just stepped into adulthood, we can say. They're 18-year-olds. They're learning what being an adult is all about. And I tell them, you're going to enjoy your freedoms, but unfortunately it comes with its strings attached, and they say, what is it? Responsibility. After the age of 18, you enjoy all that freedom. They say, hey, we can drive, we can do whatever we want. I'll just not mention it here, as anything and everything that's forbidden. It's they have to make their decisions. And it says, yes, have to take the responsibility as well. So that's new to them, and at the very same age they come to our university, which is English medium, but that's not they're there for. They wanted to get into the university, and they're enjoying their first year at university, and we're telling them to learn English. That's why they're not motivated. They're not thinking about it. It's not in their minds. It's like you say, here's LC Waikiki. You go in, what do you expect? You want to buy some clothing, right? What if they offer to, cut your hair and say, we want to cut your hair? But I'm not here for it. I want to have a look at these. And I said, no, we're going to first cut your hair. It's like, but normally you would like it, but you're not there because of that. You didn't enter there for that. I think that's the situation. The students aren't, they don't come in for that. So by the time they realize that it's important, they all know it. That's surprisingly, when you ask, they all know the importance of learning English, as would anybody in our country. Everybody would like to. I mean, I think everybody would think it would be nice to speak English, and in fact learn and read books in English. Wouldn't it be nice? But they don't quite realize how much work you have to do. I'm not going to say it's difficult, but it requires a lot of work. It's like, you show interest to it and it'll pay back. Language is not like mathematics. They think it's like that, but I don't think so. You pay attention to it. Always, the more you pay attention, the more it pays you back. It's like doing sports. The more you do sports, the fitter you are. You quit, it will leave you. So that's how. That's why they are not quite motivated. They're not readily motivated. Let me say.
I see.
They have to be, motivated. So that's why we have to really teach them. And lately, I learned from the latest motivation research that Dernier, his latest work is about setting goals, but personal goals, and seeing themselves using English. The future me, I don't know if I'm using the right terminology, but that's not important. This is to understand what it means. Seeing themselves as, in the future, using English, their future identity as a language user. I remember now. Identity as a language user. Can they imagine that? And when you ask them, they don't. They have no clue. They can't imagine themselves. They can imagine themselves, for example, skiing. They can imagine themselves doing bungee jumping in the future. Somehow they can picture themselves, but somehow they cannot picture themselves using English, maybe presenting to their fellow students at university, or maybe getting an Erasmus, winning an Erasmus program, going as a student in, I don't know what, European country. They're just amazed to see, what? Me. I'm going to use English. I'm going to sound English. This mouth is going to produce English words. They
I
cannot
see.
imagine that. And that's where I said, that finding helps me a lot. You say, oh, that gives me some idea, some corridor, a tunnel towards the future. Maybe our students can now think of themselves, oh, yes, I can do it. And also, what else works for me is having role models, Turkish people who have learned English, managed things, done things in English, and still living in Turkey. I mean, people who've moved to another country, that's a different story, because they cannot imagine that doing themselves. But that might be one. But you can go to a place through Erasmus, masters, whatever, study, or maybe to work. But if that's too far, you can still think about others, famous people, like, for example, the billiards player, Semih Saygıner.
Semih Saygıner. Semih Saygıner.
And he has a story in TED Talks. He has a story. He talks about how English became really important in doing the sports that he was doing, because it really is necessary to communicate, even in youth, for example. Cem Yılmaz. He has stories about English. Aydan Hocam, in her sessions, talks about it, and I paid attention. I said, yeah, he was in a film as well using English in the Gallipoli one. So can you imagine? I wonder if he ever imagined himself as playing the role of some, in an English spoken, kind of film next to a very famous actor, Australian actor. It's a dream, come true. But he did it. And he's a perfectly normal, just like he used to be, a university student, just like anybody else. He was just in Istanbul. So those kind of things give them some ideas about what they can do using English, and that's the kind of motivation. Though it's a little time.
Thank you very much, Defne Hocam. Wonderful, really wonderful answer. It's really great. Thank you. Let's move to another question, if you want. Can I?
Sure.
All right. So I want to ask you in a different questions. Again, it's about something like experiences as a teacher. Which one do you think more valuable in experience as a teacher, and why? Working on the same kind of duty for many years, for example, like the same age group or the same level, etc., or taking on different duties in time with different positions or different levels, etc.
I'm going to say B. Perhaps having a lot of experience in, for example, teaching adolescents over the years might give a lot of things to a teacher. They might make those teachers very, very valuable. But I believe you don't have to do 20 years, 30 years of doing that in order to gain enough experience. You can gain experience, of course, it depends on the kind of teacher or the kind of experience the students you have, but you can gain enough experience in a few years and learn about how things should work in that area. So to me, working in many different areas, maybe within the same school, you should try to do a little bit assessment and learn it. It's not like doing it and not forgetting about it. Try to learn to do it well. And maybe a little bit of materials development, try to do well, because you're not going to do well in the beginning. You might be criticizing others, but once you start to do it yourself, you're not going to come out well the first time you try. It's not going to happen. But, in time, you will need a few years, maybe 2 years, and then you get better at it and better at it and say, aha, that's it. You're good at it. And then perhaps try something else. The same age group as well, maybe, or some people just teach certain skills in some schools that may work that way. Like you're only teaching writing. You're only teaching reading, maybe academic skills, that could be it. But I think, in time, change it a little bit. Teach a different senior students, fourth-year students, teach first-year students, teach, if it is at all possible, teach some high school students, if you're in high school, teach some first-year high school students, in the, ninth year, right? Teach some 12th year students. And there's got to be a lot of difference. Classroom management, everything, I think motivation is different, how to approach, whether you can elicit things, how to elicit, how to, everything. Even 1 year makes a difference. And you learn so much. That will teach you. You can also take you to, maybe if it is, I don't know how, it depends on how it works in your institution, but you might be doing a little bit of training from different you see the same thing, but from different perspectives. That helps you grow so much. You learn about learning, you learn about the admin, you learn about the training, how things change, how things are interpreted differently. It's great growth. In my opinion, that's experience.
I see. Wonderful experience. Yeah, in each level, you get some different ideas, different experience. So it's necessary, I think, for us. I see. Exactly. High school and primary, or I don't know, maybe middle school, you all have different experience. I see. Thank you. Thank you very much, Hocam. Let's move to another question, which is different. Can you tell us, it's not about actually with the education, it's moving to different the questions now. Can you tell us an interesting moment that you still remember in your teaching or learning career? Actually, you mentioned one at the beginning, but this is similar with the same question.
Of course, we've got so many things to remember, but one of them was when we also have higher age adults over the weekend and evening classes. We have courses, and in there we had I had a 40+ age student who attended all the classes, but she would ask very naive questions. She wouldn't progress. It looked like she's not progressing. After 2 years, we come to upper intermediate level. The classroom, they're trying their best. It's they can speak, they can present, they can listen, etc. And when we're talking about, a mixture of grammar elements, it's a complicated sentences, a sentence with a noun clause, a relative clause, and all sorts of clauses, a combination of inverted sentences, and then all of a sudden, this let's call her Aisha. She raises her hand and she says, "Oh, Hocam, may I ask a question?" "Yes." What is?" "What do you mean?" "What do you mean?" I'm trying to understand how complex the question could be, and she just said, "What is?" There's an is in this. There are so many is's in the sentence in the first place. So what is? Oh my goodness! And where do I start? And is that the only thing you're stuck? There's so many other elements. I said, no, I just want to know the is. Anyway, she said she was looking around. She was timid, and everybody was laughing. I said, "Oh, hi, Shannon, not again. You're day one. Day one." But later on, what happened is we got another late. We had a latecomer, still upper intermediate level, but the late registration. This lady was another timid one. She sat right next to my Aisha. And what happened is, a few weeks later, I started to see my Aisha explaining things to this new girl. Everybody say, "Oh, dear, so good." We wonder, what she's explaining, when she doesn't understand anything. But later on, towards the end of the semester, and it was the end of the second year, we're closing. It was the end of the course. There was no higher upper. But what she raised her hand as she started to explain something when the rest of the class couldn't understand. She used English, not beautiful, but she was managing it. And she explained it in such a crystal clear way. I said, "Shannon, what have you been doing? Are you going to another course?" She got really good, and her, test results were good. She was speaking, she's writing, and right in front of me. I said, "What? Are you taking a pill or something?" Is this a twin of yours? Where has she been? What did you do to the other actual Aisha? And she said, you know what? Over this past 2 months, I've been doing my own translations. I mean, I don't approve of translations, but it's not, that's besides the issue. The issue is in her work office, they gave her articles to work on, to translate and to present. And she had to meet foreigners, visitors, etc. They said, you're going to a language course. It's been a long time. You can do it. And they sent her to meetings in Europe and stuff like that. In 2 months, she was a changed woman. And she said, I have 2 secrets. One, you have to use the language to learn. Just looking at you doesn't work. I said, we understand that. The watching me, the things at the board didn't work really. But she had to use it herself the hard way. But then she said everything made sense all of a sudden. And then she said, well, I've been explaining things to my friend here. I learn, I explain, I learn, everything becomes clear. As I'm explaining, I realize things. I say, oh, yeah, that's it, you know. I said, you're stealing my secrets. Those are my secrets. And all the rest of the you know, so really, and they started to work on it too. But that was something I cannot forget. You know, that lady opened up like a beautiful rose, and you know, she gained all her. She was very shy, you see, but she learned so much because she was pushed to use the language. So use the language, try to teach it to somebody else. There's no way of stopping you. Not age, not working, having to work, being tired, no excuses.
Definitely, I agree with you hocam. Very good example about it. Thank you very much Defne hocam. Let's move to very critical. I'm really wondering what are you gonna say about the next question. It's really interesting questions, and I always wonder the answer of these questions by our guests. Let me move it. If you could have one superpower to use in the classroom, what would it be and how would it help?
Oh, yes. Let me put it very, very well. I just have the idea, first of all, just a moment. I would like to be able to see into their minds, you know, by looking at their eyes. I said, bzzz, you know, laser beam. And I can see, oh, what is it that they cannot understand? Sometimes they ask a question, you explain, but they're not satisfied. You see, you know, there's, no, that's not it. There's some other thing, you know, in their minds, but sometimes they, you know, so I want to be able to explain something, or maybe they have a look at it, you know, they try to make meaning out of something, whatever method you use. When they turn around and, you know, look at me, I want to be able to look at all the 28 pairs of eyes and see what is it that they cannot understand, and so that I can, or maybe they understood, you know, just with a bing, bing, bing. That would be great. Make things really clear for me.
Very nice to see their minds, what's going on inside of them.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
Only about that topic, though. I don't want to know anything else. That would be invasion of privacy.
Okay, not everything, but related something with the related with the language, I think.
Only that at that moment. That's it.
I see, related language. I see. Thank you very much, Defne hocam. Okay, last 2 questions. Time flies, really. Okay, Defne hocam. Do we really want to see their minds? She's asking. Aydan hocam is asking.
Not all of only the kind of question they might have about the topic I'm explaining.
I see. And Tony hocam is writing, my wife has that power, but she uses it to check what I have done wrong that day. It's really nice.
Some people
it's really great. Or checking what he or she has done, you know, the bad that day or wrong that day. Yeah. It's really nice. Thank you very much. Really. really great ideas about the reading minds and seeing the minds, what's going on. Nice. Okay, let's move to the next question. The question is like, let's suppose that we finish the interview of Defne Hocam and you go outside and find a lottery ticket ends up with winning $10,000. What would you do?
Of course, having been a teacher for a long time, I wouldn't know what to do. Except
With
for buying.
$10 million
I
dollars.
I would buy books. I'm a book crazy person. As you can see,
I
books.
see. Wow. It's really
Yeah,
wonderful.
nowadays, yeah, they're there. I couldn't really fit them in. I've when I finish with something, and if it's a kind of a not very academic, or if I can, there are so many books I'm buying, so I have to give them all away. So I pick them all together. I really drop a few tears, but part my way from from time to time, and I give them away. But I think I'm afraid, knowing myself, I would buy a book, or I would buy a house, fill it in with libraries, bookcases all over, and I would buy books again.
By the
Some
way,
music,
the somewhat.
music.
I see.
Um,
The amount, $10 million. The amount, $10 million. Did I say wrong? I think I said $10,000. It's not. It was $10 million. Okay. Anyway,
don't
because
say-
Aydan Hocam mentioned the. Say again? Sorry?
If you increase the amount, I will just say, well, more books then. Foreign
More books
press.
then.
Books.
Wonderful. Okay.
I would import them. I have other ideas about books. It's just then I can buy books in. I started to learn German because of my son. I'm trying to help. He's taking German as a second foreign language. So he didn't know how to study it. I mean, having gone through the difficult first stages of English way back when, so he forgot about it, the feeling of it. So I'm trying to help. Of course, I have no idea. I have no idea how German works. Not that I know anything. I'm just a language teacher. So what I do is I study first, try to find common points, to make lists, and I can get him to study. And that gives me a lot of ideas. And today I got, also, I'm going to recommend this to everybody. If you want to understand what a beginner student feels like, get a lesson. And there's all sorts of things. There's free lessons, YouTube. Just turn it on. Hey, German, and you start to feel uneasy. You start to feel tense after a while. Oh, this is getting too much, what am I going to do? It tells me to make a sentence. How do I conjugate the verb? Is it a female? Is it a male version? Das, der, eine, keine, what? You go, how do I write it? The spelling, oh my goodness. So that will teach you a lesson. Try to learn a new language.
Exactly.
And that's how I'm eyeing the new ones and say, hey, A1 reading, because my son is the same. We learn by reading and listening. It's not by putting verbs, ich bin, du sind, ihr, I don't remember. But when you make sentences, then you can remember and you can listen. So that's why I was eyeing I'm looking for some good books, but they want to have, there aren't any in Turkish productions, let's say. Turkish publishers is only one, but some very short stories for A1. Unfortunately, I have to get it in Amazon to bring from abroad, which will double the thing. So coming back, you increase the amount, I will think, hey, German books.
More German books. Really nice thing.
What's the German? Hey, I can buy it.
It's nice, really. All right. Yes, let's come to, thank you very much, Defne Hocam. Let's come to the last question. And by the way, there's a really, the tough conversation is going on in the chat box. If you had a chance to read the conversation, it's really
Marry
about
a
the
French
French.
guy?
It's a
Oh
really
dear.
wonderful conversation. Aydan Hocam is suffering about learning French, and Tony's teacher's suggestion is like marry a French guy. You can learn much better and easy and quickly. Anyway, that's a nice suggestion. Thank you. Let's move to the last question, Defne Hocam. Okay, and the last question here is come. What is your motto?
Oh, have passion and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
You need to
Okay.
have the passion of teaching and compassion towards the students. If these get together, if the students, if you can pass the feeling to them, they will get it, and the atmosphere will be great, the rapport would be great, and the motivation will follow. But keeping these two over the years with different types of students, maybe with lovely curricula, wonderful books, despite the exams, all the ups and downs of daily life might be difficult. So that's why we have mottos, don't we? They're there to
Yeah, exactly.
remember and inspire us. That's why I say, have passion towards teaching, compassion towards students.
Mm-hmm.
Always think that nowadays I keep thinking, what if that my student was my son? What if my son was being treated this way? What if I've been saying this to my son? What if a teacher, and then you just start to think, whoops, I shouldn't say that. We shouldn't be saying, things that may not be useful to your student or you may not be proud of later on. So we should lose our passion towards teaching, no matter what kind of curriculum we have or what kind of stuff we have or we may not have. So I understand that it's sometimes very hard with the parents, with the students themselves, but we need to have compassion.
Yes.
They go hand.
Exactly. They go together. I see. Thank you.
Don't forget about yourself too. I mean, hey, we're human beings. We don't have to be superhuman.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much, Defne Hocam. Thank you. Okay, that's all my questions. That's all by my side actually. So would you like to add anything else before ending our live sessions, Defne Hocam?
Oh, what can I say? What can I say? Well, as I said, we should try to keep our motto in our minds. We've never forget. In fact, we should never forget that each person in our class is a human being. They have other things going on outside the class. Sometimes they might be acting out, but we take things too personally. They make a mistake, it's as if they're doing it just to spite us. But of course, nobody would like to make a mistake. Who would like to make that? Why do we get so angry? Sometimes we say, how many times have I told you? Is there a rule about that? The third time you say it, they will learn. The fourth time, they deserve to be punished. I have never heard anybody say anything like that. So if something looks so sloppy, there must be a reason. We might be that reason. If there are too many mistakes, the task may not be fitting, or it might be really boring.
I see.
We tend to get angry at things, but that kills the joy of learning language. Language is the most enjoyable thing to learn. And also, we're reminded, especially my son, we're in Hazırlık prep schools, we're all English language teachers, but in their schools, in other regular schools, there's maths teachers, there's physics teachers, and you know what? They like their language teachers most because the atmosphere is so different. Let's not
Definitely.
advantage. Everything is to our advantage. They want to actually sound beautiful. They have the motivation. Let's use that advantage, very well. without, that's, they already come with a positive mind anyway. Let's use that.
Definitely. You said something about the English teachers. Well, isn't that really clear? For example, which private schools or which, the government schools or wherever you go, and you can easily say that I think she's an English teacher or he's an English teacher
Is
without
that right?
knowing his or her job, but you can easily guess about it. It's really interesting. We have a kind of a something, the
It's
written
the
on our
aura.
head.
Yes.
Like this, yeah. Like an English
Yeah.
teacher. It's like in the bombing you, like a life
Yeah.
English teacher.
They already have that kind of air, I don't know, aura, and so they other teachers might get jealous. It's
Yeah,
something different.
exactly. Definitely.
Anything in class, you can do physics, you can do maths, you can do poetry, you can do dialogues, you can do so many things. The others are stuck within their own world. We have everything.
Definitely.
So
We are
let's use that
interesting,
to
really. We are really interesting teachers, really. And the all eyes on us, I think, around of us especially. Really,
advantage.
when you go into the class, yeah, when you go to the the school room, like it's really interesting. Yeah, exactly. Can I show you something? Yes, this is my t-shirt, as you see here. I don't know, Jam, she said, I'm afraid of your t-shirt. It's like the hands and the eyes on it. It's really interesting t-shirt that she told me that please do not stand up. I don't wanna see your t-shirt. It's really scary, she said. It's really interesting. But we do. We like some, I think, as English teachers, we like, the interesting things, I think, which is weird sometimes. Just like my t-shirt. This is weird. I don't think so that no other teachers will wear this t-shirt, but I do.
We are a different species. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So actually, I wanted to keep this conversation, the more longer, but I know you lots of things to do, and it's like it's 10 o'clock, and I don't wanna, to take more time from you, Defne Hocam. You're busy. We are all busy. Wow. All right. And okay, so that's all. And I just wanted to say one more time, thank you very much for accepting my invitation and being with us here in Teacher Talks 108. It was a great pleasure to have you.
Oh,
We had a
yeah.
really fruitful sessions. Perfect. Really, really wonderful. And Defne Hocam was with us tonight, and we had lots of, the great topics that we talked with her, and she had lots of suggestions and ideas. And the most important thing, she spent her time with us here, which is
Oh,
really important. Thank you very much. And we are going to be here. We are going to be here. Oh, I cannot forget, and all the other participants, thank you very much. You also had a great thing, the performance here in the chat box. It was wonderful. Thank you very much. And we are going to be here next week on the same day at the same time with the different educators. Until the next time, take care of yourselves and peace, everybody. And bye bye. Bye bye, Defne Hocam.
bye
Bye bye,
bye.
everybody.
See you
Especially
next
Aydan Hocam, Antonio Hocam. Thank you very much. And all the other guests. See you next time.
time.
Take care of yourself. Bye.